This book is very interesting because it practically shows 64 games, and these games finish in 2011, before 2 years before Carlsen would become world champion. Now, another interesting thing is in 2010, Carlsen became the youngest #1 rated player in the world. 2010. We are in 2025 and that thing didn't change. Okay, of course, from 2010 to 2025, Carlsen has won many world championships. I think at least 5 in classical, I think, and then there are the blitz and rapid, right? So again, it's a huge career which is not possible to describe only in one book. But one funny thing that I found out reading the book was the following. In chapter 1, from master to grandmaster, it tells the story of the fact that Karyakin was the youngest grandmaster in that period, and so he thought everybody thought he would be a world champion, and Karyakin never became a world champion. Why? Because Magnus, that was not a super grandmaster in that time, and we are speaking of 2003, he was just starting, didn't have great results like Karyakin. In fact, and this is the funny part, because many were just shocked that Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi became co-champion at the World Blitz Championship in 2024. But in reality, here we have another thing that is interesting. It says Magnus was still at the start of his career, although at the age of 11 he was able to share 4th and 2nd places in the Norwegian Under-18 Championship. However, he did not distinguish himself at the European Under-12 Championship in Spain, where he finished only 6th. But in the World Championship among his contemporaries in Greece, Carlsen displayed his characters and shared 4th, 2nd places with Ian Nepomniachtchi, who on the trade break was proclaimed world champion. So as you can see, these two great players have had a lot of history together, because if you imagine from 2003 they were already playing against each other to 2024, it's clearly a long time, right? Especially because they were young. So imagine 20 years of career that you spend fighting against the same players over and over. I would like to show you the game number 4, which is Carlsen versus Dolmatov, played in the Moscow Aeroflot 2004. Carlsen starts with knight f3, and Dolmatov probably wanted to take his opponent out of his preparation with the Dutch. But here we can see Carlsen that is really prepared, because he plays d3, a kind of anti-Dutch variation which mainly has a psychological effect. d6, this would be the classical Dutch, but at this point obviously the game changes completely. e4, and now you need, as black, to decide where you want to go. Do you want to continue with a close game like the Dutch, so you takes and you play knight f6, or you go in a totally different direction? Dolmatov played e5, and e5 in fact is bringing the game somewhere else. In fact, after knight c3, here the authors write the position has acquired contours typical of the open games. Knight c6, and here there is a comment that says Evgeny Barev evaluates this position as favorable for white and thinks that in this setup black should have played knight f6. Okay, everybody has the right to their own opinion, and honestly I don't care much about the opening itself, also if clearly both of them have tried to bring each other in a different direction, and I think Carlsen is the one that has won this opening phase. E takes f5, bishop takes f5. Now this thing is not nice at all, honestly. Why Barev said knight f6? Because he wants to try to control this huge weakness that there is here, right? And especially now that obviously in this kind of position you try to open the position, and this king is a kind of more weak than that king, right? But let's see what happens. d4, and knight takes d4. Knight takes d4, e takes d4, and queen takes d4. Here black plays knight f6, which seems is considered wrong. So what should have black played at this point? The authors write c6 is the move that would have been better, because he would have blocked the development of a bishop c4 probably with the d5. And he also mentioned that to take on c2 is not a good idea, because black is behind in development. Okay, so that's why knight f6 was played, but here Carlsen plays bishop c4. As you can see, the idea is always to keep your opponent king in the center if you can. c6 and bishop g5. Now it says the position is an open one, and as is customary in such a situation, Carlsen develops his pieces in their most active positions. As you can see, he left all the time that pawn c2 there, because it doesn't matter, especially a pawn in the opening compared to the development. So this is also a teaching lesson about the importance of development. Okay, b5, and he continues with bishop b3, and now there is a decisive mistake. It seems the correct move was this one, queen e7. I don't give you the line because you can buy the book and see it, but unfortunately black played bishop e7, and of course after this move Carlsen immediately castled, and he has finished the development, while you can notice that this king is still in the center. Why? Because unfortunately it cannot castle. And what do you do? Are you going to put your king here and go here? What are you trying to do as black? That's kind of a problem, right? So the opening has been a success for white, total failure for black, and black was a kind of experienced grandmaster compared to Carlsen in 2004, right? So black continued with queen d7, rook h e1, and king d8. This position recalls the times of a romantic 19th century. Similar position can be found in the games of Paul Morphy and Adolf Andersen. There follows a combination as natural as the smile of a 13-year-old youth. Okay, so what do you think White played at this point? What do you think White played at this point? It's rook takes e7, queen takes e7, oh wow, queen f4, attacking this and this at the same time, bishop d7, and again, what do you think White is playing now? Because as you can see, it's not enough to attack always with the same piece. You need to bring all the pieces together to do a final attack. And this is done by knight e4, d5 to take away the problem that he had here, knight takes f6, and obviously you cannot play this because this and the queen is gone, so he played h6, bishop h4, g5, and now there is the final move of the game, after which black resign. The final move is queen d4. So you can see the problem probably here already, right? It's really a beautiful place for White. Why? Because this is attack, so if you take, it can probably maybe you can take here, which is even more dangerous, because he attacks this and attacks this. So it's kind of interesting, right? And then there is the problem of this. Again, a beautiful game by Carlsen, and I hope you will enjoy more games from this book. That obviously is a little dated because Carlsen has now become the greatest of all time, probably, and is also doing a revolution with freestyle chess. Thank you very much for watching.